Today, we talk about a man named Jensen Huang and the company he co-founded, Nvidia. Jensen's annual salary is $25 million. That would make it $96,000 per workday and $12,000 per work hour. Is the salary worth it? You decide after knowing the full story. Let's go. In this world, there are unsung heroes everywhere. They are called entrepreneurs, and they build businesses. These are their stories, and how you can become one yourself. Nvidia is a company that makes a special kind of computer chip. The chip can be used both for computing and graphic display. It has a unique architecture that makes them very fast for crunching numbers. The chips are used for Bitcoin mining, automotive self-driving, and artificial intelligence. In this video, we'll tell the story 3 times. The first time, you'll hear the ordinary story everyone can Google. The second time, you'll hear it from a technical nerd's perspective, in his own words. The third time, you'll hear it from a full perspective of a wise business builder and innovator. First, the story on paper. The Huang family moved to the United States when he was 9. He earned a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from Oregon State University in 1984 and another master's degree in electrical engineering from Stanford University in 1992, most likely after many years of work experience. He was an engineer at AMD and then worked as a director at LSI. Nvidia started on his 30th birthday in 1993. The company went IPO in 1999. On paper, it is a Silicon Valley story that has been repeated many times. 30 years after its founding, the company has reached a market valuation of $1 trillion. Jensen's 86 million shares of Nvidia stocks makes him worth $36 billion. Here are some trivia facts. He worked at a Denny's restaurant once. This actually was supremely important for his transformation from an engineer to a manager and salesman. He learned firsthand how to communicate and fulfill orders. The year he graduated was also dubbed the best year to graduate for an electrical engineer. Jensen co-founded the company with 2 others. Initially, he refused to quit his job, but his co-founders convinced him otherwise. The name Nvidia comes from a Latin word, which means jealousy. Jensen and his wife donated $200 million to Oregon State University, building a new AI computing center. Now let's hear the Nvidia story again, with a little more depth. This is given by Jensen himself at a lecture at Stanford University. Follow me along on screen. First, he discussed the first 6 months. I was 30 years old, and I've never taken a business class. I never took marketing class, never used PowerPoint. My first official day was my 30th birthday. I bought a Mac so I can write something to go to the VC. We talked for 6 months with nothing to do. A lawyer helped incorporate the company. I gave him $200 and he priced the company. Bought 20% of Nvidia share for $200. I never finished my business plan. Never know how to finish. I went to VC and told him what I like to do. VCs do not invest in business plan. They invest in great people. Your reputation matters. I've done so much work for the founders of Sun, and we all were successful and did good work. You need to have a vision that's large enough. At least there needs to be a clever idea the market has never done before. You may need to reinvent yourself. Second, he talked about why the founders decided to quit their job. Building a company is extraordinarily gratifying. It is also extremely hard. Vision is a big word. Everyone has a perspective though. You see opportunities others don't. Our perspective in 1993 is to play games in 3D graphics programs. We'll take technology only available in most expensive workstations and make it inexpensive. The killer app is video games. The VC's response? There's no game market. When I talked to my mother, she said, Why don't you go get a regular job? Then he discussed about how hard it was to get the first VC investment. The first 2 years was fun and hard. The vision was unique and hard to sell. The apparent size of the market is zero. It was a non-category. How do you sell it? Sequoia and Sutter Hill invested $2 million. By 1995, there are 50 companies competing with us. At this point, the initial valuation of the company has risen from $1,000 to $5 million. Are they rich? Can they pay themselves a full salary? Not so fast. You're only rich when people are willing to pay for your stocks. The company must last long enough until the next round investors come in. To survive until that time, the company has a lot of things to pay for, including engineers' salary. It was a daring move. Jensen and others believed in their vision, which no one else understood at that time. As he said, our common sense in 1993 was very unique. At this point, you may wonder, gee, I thought Jensen Huang was a founder. How come there were other founders? How come he only had 3.5% of Nvidia stock at the end? It turns out that there are 3 founders, and Jensen was perhaps the most junior then. Curtis Preem and Chris Malachowski are both terrific engineers and chip designers in their own right. Malachowski also donated to his alma mater, building an AI computing center at University of Florida. He has also produced a documentary movie that won an Emmy. Both co-founders worked for computing giants like Sun, IBM, and Hewlett-Packard. They have tremendous experience in graphics card development. This team will be put to test very soon. In fact, they tackled with 200 startups and well-funded companies, and they were the only one surviving. We competed with Sony, IBM, SGI. Why does one survive? We followed the Moore's Law. After their initial success, the world is convinced. Over the next 2 years, 60 companies came out with great funding and teams to try to grab market share. The way Nvidia deals with the competition is essential for their survival. The way they deal with the customers is to ignore the customers. They believe in the power of Moore's Law and continue to improve the performance and price. They do this for 2 years, even when the customers told them they don't need their chips and cannot afford them. Just when the scare is off, another one comes along. The company is so successful, it is running out of room to grow. Once it stops growing, it will be caught up by the competitors. This will initiate a price war and make the company profitless. To deal with this, they have to create a new product category and market. Their answer is to pour money into making a programmable 3D graphics card that allows surface rendering. This is the beginning of the word skin and textures. The cost to make this new product is so high, the relatively new company has to bet the entire company. If they fail, they die. If they don't do it, they die. The only way it can work is to have a great team. This is why culture matters. A great culture tolerates mistake-taking and exploration. This is what the founders do. As Jensen says, intellect matters, skills matter, training matters, but this is not enough. Building company is challenging and painful, often scary. If you don't reinvent yourself, you're slowly dying. Jensen has a lot to say about collective failure management. In order to innovate, you must fail. Teaching others how to fail inexpensively and recover quickly is the CEO's job. The hardest part about starting a company is to reinvent the company. A startup is just a company that may die any day. As a startup, you're always going out of business. Sometimes the thrills can be scary. Now we move to the last level of Nvidia's story. Jensen Huang talks about the 3 times the company nearly died and how they recovered. In a talk by Jensen to graduates of the 2023 class at National Taiwan University, he encouraged the graduates to run. don't walk, but prepare to stumble. He also revealed the 3 impending dooms that Nvidia survived. The first doom. Nvidia was selected to work with a Japanese company, Sega. The entire company is living off the contract Sega signed with them. However, they made a giant mistake. The mistake was only visible to them 1 year after they started. We used forward mapping for Sega, but after a year, the architecture was wrong. Microsoft DirectCD used inverse mapping and triangles. If we finish Sega's project, we would be dead when we finish. If we don't continue, we would be out of money. I need Sega to pay us in whole. Surprisingly, the manager at Sega agreed. The generosity saved us. Jensen said, "Humility is the hardest thing to teach for the brightest and most successful." Second doom. In 2007, the company sees an end of being just a graphics card company. It must pivot in order to survive. As Jensen said, in late 2007, we bet the company on extending new CG computing. The investment was immense. The company suffered for years for our initiatives. We had to sell to our customers hard. Eventually, after many years, the customers came. Eventually, even the AI customers came in 2012. Another decade later, the AI revolution started in 2023. This is how dare, vision, culture plays out together. The survival was not accident. It is just the outcome. As Jensen said, one must endure the pain and suffering to realize a vision. The third doom. Oh, is there another one? This one was actually useful. In 2010, the company worked with Google. We were instantly successful. However, the competition swarmed. We could either fight for shares, or we can sacrifice the market. In the end, they decided to sacrifice. They decided to give up the fight. They used a resource to bet on robotics. They created a $0 robotics market. Eventually, this high bet pays off. Jensen said, "Run, don't walk." You either run for food or you run to not becoming food. Many business builders are wise men, and their wisdom was not easily appreciated by others. They're like soldiers who have to endure a battle. Now, why did he do it in the first place? He could have had an easy job, high salary, and good career anyways. However, in his own words, he liked to be part of a cause. What was his cause? There could be many. We can look at the influence he has on others. One of them is his son. His son Spencer becomes an entrepreneur, running a successful bar in Taiwan. He then came back to the United States and now works in Nvidia as a product manager. This is how the entrepreneurship gene passed between generations. Indeed, the great need of a person is to be able to help others. This might be what drove him to do the startup in the first place. Fortunately, he and his co-founders were very good. By now, I hope you have reached your own conclusion about whether Jensen Huang deserves the salary. Please feel free to leave comments below. In any case, I hope you learned how hard it is to become one of the richest in the world and what contribution they could make. Feel free to follow the links here, which points to the original talks that was given by Jensen. Thank you very much. See you at the next episode.